Okay, so what this video is about is the armor penetration values for the German 20mm KWK 30 and 38 cannons. These are the 20mm guns used on the lower tier German vehicles, the Panzer IIs. Of course, the Gepard and I think Flak Panzer has the same gun, I think, along with the SD KFZ 1-3 something, a premium vehicle. That I can't remember its proper name right now, but the point of all this is that the two main ammo types for those guns, the Panzer Granate and Panzer Granate 40, have different armor penetration values, and more specifically, the Panzer Granate 40 has much higher armor penetration at close range. And so I was basically trying to figure out, when do I want to switch? Because if we look at our little chart here, the red line is the Panzer Granate 40 armor penetration. We've got range in meters on this axis and penetration on the left. And the Panzer Granate is in the blue line here, and so obviously at longer ranges you want to keep using the Panzer Granate. But at close range there's a huge difference, almost 20 millimeters in armor penetration for the Panzer Granate 40. So I was wondering, when exactly do I want to switch? So I made this little graph. By the way, these armor penetration values are for hitting a target at 90 degrees. And these numbers are valid or taken from War Thunder patch 1.71. And so if you just look at the graph here, it looks, if you assume the relationship between the armor penetration values is a straight line, it looks like, well, looks like right around 400 meters or less you want to use the Panzer Granate 40. But I wanted a more exact answer, and so I did something called a linear regression, which is basically a fancy way of saying I came up with an equation that describes these lines. So I have one equation that describes this line here for the Panzer Granate 40, and another equation that describes this line here for the Panzer Granate. And using those, I was able to determine over here that right at 388 meters or less, you want to switch to the Panzer Granate 40, because that's when the Panzer Granate starts penetrating more armor than, or excuse me, the Panzer Granate 40 starts penetrating more armor than the Panzer Granate. And if we step that down to 380 meters, we see that the based on our little equation, that the Panzer Granate 40 will penetrate 37.1 millimeters of armor, whereas the Panzer Granate will only go through 36.6. Now that's not a huge difference, but the point I think is made. At below around 388 or below 388 meters, you'll want to switch to the Panzer Granate 40 because you'll penetrate more armor. Or now that is the one issue I have with that is it's kind of hard to remember in game. Oh, is it 380 something? I can't quite remember. So that kind of led me to go back to our initial little eyeball estimate of 400 meters, and I kind of just tried to remember under 400 switch to 40. So under 400 meters switch to 40, and you'll probably be good, or anything significantly less than 400 meters, you'll want to switch to the Panzer Granate 40. Now, the other issue with this is that, this is kind of a super simple estimate. We're not doing a whole lot of rocket science here. And that's when I realized, when I was double checking these this data here from the game, is that they give you muzzle velocity and the weight of the projectile. And I was like, wait a second. Well, that means I can do some fancy computing here. And if I can somehow come up with an estimate for the aerodynamic drag of the projectiles, then I can come up with a very exact, well, better estimate of when to switch ammo types. And I may do that in a future video if I can find the time. I'd like to do that. It's just a matter of finding the time. I haven't been playing much, so unfortunately. But yeah, so this is one fun little thing I decided to do, and let me know. I may do more of these for other guns and other ammunition types. Let me know if this is something you'd find interesting, because I'm definitely gonna. I think I definitely will do at least a few more of these, just to satisfy my own curiosity and to try and get a little bit of an edge in the game, so that I know precisely when to switch to what ammo type to maximize the amount of armor penetration of whatever weapon I happen to be using at the time. So yeah, German 20mm gun, under 400 meters, switch to the 40. Under 400, switch to 40. That's the easy way to remember it. Or if you're super smart and have a good memory, you can just remember, okay, 388 meters or less is the number to remember. And that about, I think, summarizes this. Let me know if you'd like to see more of these. And the only other thing I wanted to talk about was my background. This is a photograph I took at an air show during I know it's a tank at an air show, but they had a World War II battle reenactment. And this is one of the vehicles that was at the battle reenactment. And this was of Panzer II, I think it's called a Lynx, or Panzer II Lush or Lush or something. I don't know how the German is pronounced. But it's a mid-war, I think it's the last Panzer II type that was actually produced. And it had the 20mm gun on it. And that made me think, man, I should probably be playing a little bit more War Thunder. And that made me think about doing something like this. But yeah, this was a photo of a replica, or I should say, I don't know what the correct term, reproduction, replica, of a Panzer II Lush Lynx. And yeah, I think this was made by a group of guys in Colorado, and they take it to battle reenactments around the United States. Alrighty, once again, let me know if this sort of thing is something interesting. Let me know what you think about this, if you want to see more. I'm going to do at least a few more. Let me know if you want me to share the results. Alright, that's all for now.